Hello, welcome again. So now, based on the previous discussions, as we know, we have direct labor cost and indirect labor cost, and employees get different cash and non-cash benefits from organizations, which all um, together makes the total cost of labor for the organization. But when employee get the money from the organization, there are some deductions made by the organizations uh, before they pay the salaries or wages to the employees. So in this structure, we'll get the elements, what includes in the total income and what are the benefits organization pays to the employees. That is, employees get the benefits from the organization, and what are the non cash benefits or benefits in kind paid to the employees. And before payment, what are the direct and indirect taxes are being deducted from the salaries of the employees. So as we see, again, the gross earnings, the employees get different sorts of benefits from the organization, and the original income includes the cash benefits from the organization, and the gross income altogether. What are the benefits? It maybe the employees may have some other income as well from his personal investments and other uh, self-employment or other service activities the employee do to other people, maybe from other organizations. So altogether, this is the income that comes to gross income. Okay, but before the payment, organization is supposed to deduct the employees' taxes. Then they get the net income or disposable income. And from the disposable income, when employees wants to buy something, they are supposed to pay some indirect taxes to the government as well when they spend money. All right, and also they get some non-kind benefit. This is also the part of benefits they get. And finally, they got the final income, the final benefit they can use for their own or for the family. All right, and next, calculations, payroll um, at the early age, or maybe even a decade before. It was a terrible job, right? Lots of hundreds and thousands of employees in an organization. But the people who are in accounts department or payroll department at the end of the month or closer to the end, they are supposed to be mad. It's very hard to calculate the salaries and benefits and everything correctly at the end of the month, and before ending, finalize it and pay the salaries on time to the people. It's a terrible job. Yeah. But now, as you know, accounting is not a pen and a paper based system anymore. So accounting system is being maintained based on software, computer based, cloud based accounting system now. Okay, so all the records are being maintained based on computer technology, software. Okay, and beyond general accounting system, there are a couple of payroll software only for maintaining payroll salaries. Okay, organization use different sorts of software. Okay, for maintaining salaries and benefits, direct, indirect, timesheets, and everything appropriately. Okay, so it's easy now. Just finally, when everything is right, just need to check whether it is okay. Particularly when the promotions happen to a particular employee, new employees come in, any employees retired from the business, there are some extra works. Otherwise, everything goes very smooth. Okay, so payroll system automate the systems, recording time and everything, and keeping track which employees are doing how much job and which employees is working for which product and how much time a product is consuming before it getting out as a finished products. And also not only that, in case of deductions, tax deductions from the employees' salaries and complying the government's rules and regulations regarding payments and salaries and taxes and everything. They comply. The software helps organizations to comply these rules and regulations. It's easy. It's very easy now. Okay, so labor recording system, just a little bit details how this works. So as I mentioned before, the labor time, okay, needs to track of how much time is paid to each employee, but also cost allocation aspects of tracing all payroll cost to production services. As I mentioned before, so employees, how much time they spent need to be recorded, and at the same time, how much time they are spending for different production services also being appropriately recorded. Detailed records of total time worked by the employees, time spent on each product, and amount of non-productive time are also being recorded. Non-productive time, idle time, okay, for any disruptions, for anything, okay. So if there is non-productive time, idle time, this is also supposed to be recorded for appropriate analysis in future to take some sorts of corrective action, okay, so that this sorts of non-productive idle time is not being happen in the organization. So this is particularly a loss for the organization if these types of things happens. Direct labor cost will be calculated using hours worked and the hourly rate for each employee. Okay, so how much time and how much is the hourly rate. So if the employees are being paid based on hours work, so this is how the payment is being calculated. The hours work collated in time sheets, I mentioned it before, so which show the time spent on each product and total time spent by the employees in the organization. Hourly rate for each employee available from personnel records based on the employment contracts and other data. So, for example, a full-time employee is supposed to work 37.5 or 38 hours at a weekly basis. So, these records recognize whether employees are providing appropriate time to the organization or not. So it helps organization to, or even sometime employees may require to work more. So if this is the case for employees, then they need to think about employing more employees for the organization for better job satisfaction of the labor of the organization. So payroll, how it works, every time you pay your employees, payroll software records these details as we mentioned before. Records pay, okay, so they need to record the salaries and wages paid to the employees. This is the records of the software. Calculates the deductions from their pay, taxes and national insurance and this kind of deductions or any kind of pensions, contribution to the pensions and other charitable deductions, right? These are being recorded as well. Calculates employers' national insurance contributions, and you will need to pay on their earnings above 183 a week. So if you earn weekly 183 or more, then as an employee, you are supposed to contribute to national insurance as well. And every employee's or staff base, if they are above this threshold, and um, and the software also calculates what's the total contribution of the organization altogether, organization's contribution to national insurance, and it produces the pay slip for each employee. So it may be an online copy, soft copy, or hard copy. So it produces a pay slip for every employee every month, in every month. Okay, reports pay and deductions to HMRC in a full payment submission. Okay, so organizations supposed to submit the report how much they paid and how much they have deducted, and the details of the employees to the HMRC every month. Okay, but there are some exemptions for the smaller enterprises, small scale enterprises. So if you pay an employee less than 120 a week, so employees work, say for example part-time, so in that case you usually only need to record and report their pay. Okay, so you don't need to deduct anything. It's not, you are not required to records all other details if this is the case. Okay, if you usually pay less than 1,500 per month, you may be able to pay quarterly instead of monthly. Because if the payment is really, really small, in that case, if employees are happy, you can pay. If it is less than 100 or 1,500 per month, so you can pay per month or you can pay quarterly. Okay, you can do either of these. It depends. This is the choice of employer and employee. So this is you have the option to do so. So finally, let's see an example of, and obviously we have some examples set for the tutorials, or that is the seminar next week. So the examples for today is James works in a factory and earns £10 per hour. Tax and national insurance deductions from his salary or wages is 30%, or I think it's a mistake, 20% for monthly income in excess of 400. So if the salary is more than 400, then he is there is a deductions for taxes and insurance 20%. I'm giving correction to this. This is 20%. Based on 20%, I have solved the problem. Employer payroll taxes. So when employer pays the salaries to its employees, then they are supposed to pay some payroll taxes to the government. So the employer pays 10% on gross wages. Okay, gross salary, they pay 10% to the government. That's the employer, and this 20% is being paid by employee from their salary. Okay, this is not 30 again. This is what I said. Firstly, I wrote 30, and then I think it is a bit higher, and then I reduce it to 20. Okay. James's weekly timesheet for the month of July 2020 is as follows. So in first week he worked 38 hours. In second week he worked 37 hours. In third week 38 hours, and fourth week is 37 hours. So based on these information, what we are supposed to calculate? Gross pay was the total payments, total earnings of James, and net payment was the net payment finally paid to the employee, that is James, and finally how much is the tax paid by the employer to the tax authority, how much tax the organization pays to the government. The solution comes here is so first, as it is hourly based payment, so what's the total hours worked by the employee? The total hours work, if you see, so 38 hours, 37 hours, 38 hours, and 37 hours. So for weeks, total 150 hours. An hourly rate of payment was mentioned in the question is 10 per hour. Okay, so what's the gross pay? The first calculations. What's the gross payment? If we see there is no other income of James, so this is the gross payment or gross income. So 150 hours work during the month and 10 pound per hour. So it comes to 1,500. Okay, gross payments. And then if we want to find out the net payments to James, net pay, then we have to find out what are the deductions. Okay, so tax and other deductions or national insurance deductions over 400. Okay, beyond 400, as the question says, beyond 400. Okay, in excess of 400, you need to deduct 20%, right, on the amount in excess of 400. So this total amount is 1,500, and what's the excess of 400 is 1,100. So 1,100 times 20% is 220 is being deducted from the gross pay. So the net payment, okay, the amount paid to the employee, that is James, is 1,280. Okay, so 1,500 minus 220, 1,280. Okay, the net payment. And what about the payroll taxes? If we want to calculate the total tax payment by the organization to the government, how much tax organization pays to the government is the payroll tax that the organization is supposed to pay on the gross pay, on the gross salary at the rate of 10%. Okay, the question says this. Okay, 10% on gross salary. Payroll tax is 10% on gross wages. That's the employer's payroll tax is 150. Okay, so employer is supposed to pay 150 on these payments to the government. So the total tax organization pays to the government is 150. That is the payroll tax paid by the employer from his money. This is employer's responsibility, employer's obligation, and employees pays 220. Okay, 220 is being paid by the employee from his income. Okay, so employees pays, but this is the deductions made by the employer. So employer deducted this money from the employee's salary before he is being paid 1280. So this is the money is now with employer. Okay, employer got this money from the employee and they are paying from their own money 150. So 220 and 150, these are the taxes paid by the employer to the government. So these two together is the total tax payments, right, paid by the employer to the tax authority. 150 plus 220, that is 370. Total tax payment 370 paid by the employer to the government. All right, so hope you understood, and we will solve a couple of problems in our next week's seminar. Up to that, that's all. So please go through those questions and try to solve one or two questions from there, and we will discuss if you have any questions, and also we'll solve some problems in next week's seminar. Thank you very much. Stay fine and safe. Thank you very much.